Hey there, gang. Sorry, I've been a little AWOL, but I've been finishing the tracks for Hannah McCartney. And when I'm with a client and doing a project like that, I'm all in, and I have to pay attention very, very, very carefully before we deliver it to the mixing engineer, because we got the best mix engineer in the business, in my opinion, working on our stuff. And I wanted there to be no mistakes. So now that that's been delivered late last night at around 8, 9 o'clock, boom, I'm back. Here's what I want to talk to you about. Have you ever watched TV and maybe your favorite show has ended and you're searching around, you're on Netflix, whatever, and you come across a foreign language show, a show that's not in your native language. And for some reason, you're kind of sucked in and you're like, okay, this looks interesting. And you start watching it and you notice that the acting is really brilliant. They're really intense. They're locked in. And the writing, even though it's in subtitles, you're like, wow, the writing of this is really tight and they're not wasting words and they're not expounding. And this is really a good story. And then you notice the lighting and the direction and the pacing of it. And you just, before you know it, you've watched the whole thing, right? Okay, well, that happened to me recently. I was watching a Belgian film on Netflix, and I was like, I had passed this film over I don't know how many times, but I like World War II movies. You know, my grandfather fought in the resistance in Norway, and my father was in the military as well, so I was like, okay, cool. I dig this sort of stuff. And it turned out to be this incredible movie called Will. Now, why is that? Why do we get sucked into things? And sometimes this doesn't even have to be a foreign language film, but why do we get sucked into things when on the surface, just scanning, it doesn't seem to be like something you would normally, okay. The reason is vision. Vision. That the director, the writer, the producer, the actors were all committed to the same vision. It doesn't really work otherwise. That's why some movies are 5-star movies and others are 2-star. They could be based around the same story, but it's the vision of all the people involved. And I just experienced this with the Hannah McCartney album we were working on. Hannah had a vision. It was my job to see that vision through. It was also my job to make sure that nobody dropped the ball on that vision. Now, fortunately, we hired the right band, we had the right engineers, we had everybody who was involved in the project were the right people for her vision. So therefore, everybody is 100% satisfied, and now we've delivered it to who I think is the perfect mix engineer for her vision. So without vision, nobody is going to be sucked into your project, because it's just like, it doesn't matter what discipline. It could be art, it could be film, it could be music. If you don't have 110% commitment to that vision and making sure that it gets executed properly, people are just gonna flip through the channel, probably, right? There's too much competition. So it doesn't mean you don't collaborate. Of course you collaborate, but you pick the right collaborators. That doesn't mean that some people aren't brilliant, but they might not be right for your project. Vision. You have to have those blinders on and be committed to executing that vision so that what you had in mind, what you saw when you started this whole project, whatever it was, comes to fruition and blooms beautifully. So that's what I want you to think about today. Vision. You have to be talented. Yes, you have to write great songs or write great scripts or make great art, but you have to know where you're starting from and where you're going and how to get there and who to work with to get there. And every step of the way, you have to pay attention to every detail so that that vision comes through and translates to the people on the other side of the camera. Cool?